Welcome to the Love Laugh Live Chat Show with myself and the wonderful Dav Ubi Pyar Karo Haso Ta Jug Jug Jeev Wala Show.
So our show is all about creating and guiding you on how to manifest a more fulfilling life that you deserve and desire, and how to raise your consciousness through loving, laughing and living. So my name is Devinder Ruby. I'm a life and spiritual coach, and sitting next to me is my beautiful co-host.
And my name is Gurdyal Garcha, and I'm an empowerment and resilience coach. Yeah.
You're going to tell me what today's topic's about, because Gurdyal normally asks me, so I'm going to ask you today. So I'm going to ask you, Gurdyal, so what is our topic today?
So our topic today, which is what we discussed last week as well, is all about the self-care wheel. And in there is the physical, the emotional, spiritual and social. So last week, piछली week we covered the physical aspects, and we started on the emotional aspects of किद्दां असी अपने आप की care कर सकते हैं and how we can live a balanced life. So we talked about physical. The physical मतलब ये हुंदा भी रब ने सानू शरीर दिता, how we take care of our body physically, भी उठ के exercise करनी, ख्याल रखना कि किन्नी चीज़ें असी खाने हैं, how we can remain healthy right up until our last breath, but also to remember that we असी किसी दे सोचे ना भी किसी ने साड़ी look after करने, साड़ी ज़िम्मेवारी असी अपने आप दी look after करिए. So that's the first topic. ता दूजा सेगा emotions. ता ओदे बारे असी सोचा गल्लां बातां कीतियां सी भी where touch is important, जप्पियां पाउनियां, प्यार करना, to look after each other in that respect. But also it's important भी किहड़ियां गल्लां असी अपने आप नूं करदे हां, भी किहड़ियां गल्लां असी अपने दिमाग च रखदे हां, नाले होरनां नूं असी दंदे क्योंकि जे असी वधिया गल्लां अपने आप बारे करदे हां, ओही वधिया गल्लां लोकां नूं जांदियां. So it's like positive affirmation. So ਇਹਦਾ मतलब इदां है भी तुसी सोच सकदे हां भी every day and every way everything is always working out for me. भी मेरी लाइफ दे विच मैं इन्ना शुकराना करदी हां भी सारा कुछ मेरे लिए वधिया चलदा आ. ਤਾਂ ਦੂਜੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ, if you imagine you're on an airplane, ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਕਸੀਜਨ ਮਾਸਕ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਤੇ ਲੈਣੇ ਤਾਂ ਫੇਰ ਹੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਦੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ.
Yes, so emotions ये इतना सोचो चाहिए तुसी कोई गल करते हैं ना, अच्छी गल करते हैं अपने बारे especially, फिर तो अच्छे emotions महसूस हो रहे हैं. You feel good and light. So ये सारी ज़िम्मेदारी. If you think bad, thoughts and थोड़े तुसी गल्लां भी तुसी बुरियां करदे, फिर ओही थोड़े emotions feel होगा, tight होगा, घबराहट होगी, anxiety होगी. So emotions. So आज obviously इस करते हैं गल्लां self care with a balanced life कितना रह सकते हैं. So कई अपने हुंदे बंदे they think I just want to concentrate on my physical side. मैं exercise करनी है. You won't get a balanced life. कई बंदे सोच I'm just going to think about my spiritual life. मैं तो अपने भक्ति विच रहना, but physical part नहीं करते, social life नहीं करते. कई बंदे think I'm just going to socialize. एक तो मैंने खुशी मिलती, बहुत कुछ physical नहीं करते spirit. So एक balanced life नहीं रहती, फिर कोई ना कुछ problem आ ही जाती है. So to live a balanced life, सारी चार चीज़ां होनी चाहिए: physical, emotional, spiritual, social. So today we're going to continue with the spiritual tip that is also important. And तुसी ऐसा सोचो, we are spiritual beings. So we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Human experience temporary, but जिन्ना भी हैगा ना temporary, ऐसी वधिया जी सकते हैं if we do all these 4 different tips कट्ठे. And spiritual beings that our real essence, it's always eternal. ਇਹਦੀ ਕੋਈ end ਹੁੰਦੀ नहीं, शुरू ਹੁੰਦੀ नहीं. But this human experience, let's live in a very happy and healthy way, because health is wealth. Health तो वैर हो कुछ नहीं ऐसे enjoy कर सकते. So while we're talking about the spiritual aspect, we are mind, body, spirit. So the mind doing the connection and body that we ख्याल रखना, the spiritual aspect we ख्याल रखना होता. So yeah, so also we've got to remember we're interconnected. वैसे spiritual जब connect होंदे ना, सिर्फ सानू ऐस महसूस होंदा, because we just physical side the सोची जाती, you start to feel the separation. मैं ही करनी है, मेरे you think it's all about materialistic things, जो ज़्यादा physical होंदे हैं. But जो spiritual तो सी ज़्यादा ध्यान देने हैं, then you realize that ऐसी सारे connected हैं, ऐसी एक तो रब तो ऐसी सारे connect हुए हैं, we're extensions of this higher consciousness. So that's why we need the spiritual side to us. and it's very important. Then you realize all 4 of these are important. That's why we can have a really balanced life. So you can explain a little bit more about the nature side to it.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just going to mention quickly about a spiritual aspect. कई बारी ਅਸੀਂ सोचते हैं कि पता नहीं इस लाइफ तो मगरों you know सारी लाइफ ज़्यादा बढ़िया होनी है when we've left this world. पर मेरी मम्मी कहती हुंदी सी कि नरक दा स्वर्ग इत्थे ही आ. So जो कुछ ਅਸੀਂ सोचते हैं ਉਹੀ ਸਾਡਾ ਸਰੀਰ ਉਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਆ. So you know, in English, ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ it's heaven or hell, but everything is within us. So ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਨਾਲ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਸਾਡੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੋਹਣੀ ਲੰਘਦੀ ਹੈ. ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਬਾਰੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਖਿਆਲ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਤਾਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਖਿਆਲ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਆਪੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਵਰਗ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ. ਤਾਂ ਜੇ ਨਰਕ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਨੂੰ ਸੋਚਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਟਾਈਟ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੁਛ ਵੀ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਨਾ. ਸੋ ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਸੋਚਣਾ because this is a very important part of being a spiritual being. It's about, you know, how you are with yourself and with other people. And that's a really important part. I mean, and so just going on to nature. Nature is so important. ਕਿਦਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਕੱਠੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਆ. ਸੋ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੋਚੀਏ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਫੈਮਲੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਇੰਨੀਆਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜ਼ਿੰਮੇਵਾਰੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ. ਅਸੀਂ ਫਰੈਂਡਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਜ਼ਿੰਮੇਵਾਰੀਆਂ ਆਹ ਕਰਨਾ ਉਹ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ. ਸਾਡੇ ਕੰਮ ਤਾਂ ਕਦੇ ਮੁੱਕਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਦੇ ਮੁੱਕਦੇ, ਬੰਦਾ ਮੁੱਕ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਆ. ਬਟ ਇਫ ਯੂ ਥਿੰਕ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਕੁ ਚਿਰ ਆਪਣਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਪਾਰਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਰੀਏ ਜਾਂ ਇਨ ਦ ਫੋਰੈਸਟ ਇਨ ਦ ਵੁੱਡਸ ਕਿ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਨੇਚਰ ਨਾਲ ਕਨੈਕਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ.
ਸਮੁੰਦਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਛਾ
ਜਿੱਥੇ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਹੀ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਕੈਨ ਜਸਟ ਥਿੰਕ ਫॉर आवरसेल्व्स ਐਂਡ ਟਰਾਈ ਐਂਡ ਡਿਸਕਨੈਕਟ. ਤਾਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਫਿਰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਯੂ ਫੀਲ ਸੈਂਟਰਡ, ਯੂ ਫੀਲ ਗਰਾਊਂਡਡ. ਤਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਲੇ ਦੁਆਲੇ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਆ ਇਫ ਯੂ ਲੁੱਕ ਐਟ ਨੇਚਰ, the trees, that everything's grounded, you know, nothing's comparing. ਇੱਕ tree ਦੂਜੇ tree ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਵਧੀਆ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਉਹ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਘਟੀਆ ਆ. The same with plants and flowers. Everything's going at its own pace and it's flowing beautifully. So ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡਾ ਸਾਹ ਵੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਆ and ਸਾਡੀ body ਵੀ ਵਧੀਆ feel ਕਰਦੀ ਆ and plus we just feel better. And this is just regular, you know, walks in the park, even if it's just 15-20 minutes, it just has such a positive effect on our mind and on our body.
Yeah, nature is some bold lessons in there. So sometimes when we get too involved in the materialistic world, in you know, in kamte and you know, and so nature then you know, some message there that there is so much peace and harmony. Sadi choice hai because it's teaching us how to be self-love, and it's teaching us how to just be grounded. Like I said, grounded da matlab hai jida tusi darakht dekho to kinne roots hai. So the roots say ki it's teaching us how to self-love yourself. It's teaching how to be strong, being self-compassionate, being, you know, faith, and all these things keep you grounded. And so don't merge. If you have all those roots, if you're rooted in that way, grounded in that way, then no matter kinne challenges tufan aande hai, you still stay strong. Jida you know jinne roots or they sakte or it doesn't matter kinne tufan aande, you still stay sturdy and strong. So that's a message it's giving us. You know, the environment is saying that I am not separate from you. You know, you are the tree and I'm the human. We're all interconnected. So this is why Rab ne said any sonia dunya create kitti hai, that you should never think just because you're human you think you're more intelligent. No, actually the nature is just as intelligent. The ant is just a kiri ovi intelligent hai. So if we're all interconnected, they're all teaching us. If we think about the kiri kinni soni messages, it's all about teamwork, supporting each other. So nature is always helping us to let go of resistance, be in the flow, be in acceptance. Then it's teaching us how to let go. You know, we as humans we get attachment. It's to get my life koi guzar nahi hai, ji nahi sakte. So nature teaching us let the leaves fall, and when it falls into the ground, it's all about transformation. And then it's looking for the new beginning, new season. And that's what human species, we are meant to use nature to help us to recognize sadi sachiyai kiya.
So hona ha ek main padhna hai jithe assi swere dekhya siga. So nature has given us all the pieces required to achieve exceptional wellness, happiness and good health, but has left it to us to put these pieces together. So ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ ਵੀ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਾਈਫ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਆ. You know, we've got oxygen, we've got air, ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਸਰੀਰ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ. Everything is given to us, but we just have to learn to appreciate it and understand that ਘੱਟ ਹੋਵੇ ਵੱਧ ਹੋਵੇ we can still live a fulfilled life. So just imagine, you know, if you think about how nature is and compare ourselves to that, we can also become fully self-love, accepting of ourselves and of others, and still live in harmony. So that's a beautiful way of living in a spiritual way.
I just want to finish off saying nature has given us all the medicine we need.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we've gone into the materialistic world, we started using drugs, and there's so many side effects, but nature's got every plant, everything that we need, even weed thakkar, that is given us to give us that health and well-being. You know, Rab ne kaha koi cheez se thodi kami nahi hegi, but somehow we lost faith. You know, we think the doctors or, you know, scientists know more, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, like alternative medicine, it does have power in it.
Yeah. So you're going to mention meditation, about the positive effects of meditation.
So there's lots of positive effects of meditation. It's all everybody does meditation wherever they are in their journey, and it's right for them in whatever form they're doing it. So I could explain myself now. Meditation for me means, okay, you do your morning nitnem and everything, but that's good. That's a good way to start. But also meditate throughout the day. That will be like being more conscious. But dhyan rakhna main ki soch rahi hu, because I understand now the universal law. Je cheez main dhyan de rahi soch rahi hu, normally if it's something that's not in peace or in love or always in fear, then I'm creating more of that. So meditation is more about me being very conscious, you know, of what I'm giving my attention to, and also it's also a way of understanding about your breath. You know, we saying Genesis, you know, Genesis ode swa hege one thode swas hege ne one thode life, duration of life you're going to, you know, live. So through meditation, what happens, we automatically start breathing slowly, and if you're breathing really down to your the bottom abdomen and your belly button, they usually say, jinna tusi deep swas lenda or holly, let's say you nearly need to take about 6 breaths a minute. So when you're able to take 6 breaths a minute, you are extending your life, because saas onni honya. But either to see it's too stress and worry, you can do it quickly, so you probably shortening your life by 10 years, or to see holly longe, you can live for a longer duration. So saas is the first thing we come into the life with, the first breath, and the last thing we do is take the breath. So there's so much power in our breath, because it connects us to our higher consciousness, but also the breath has so much impact on our physiology. We'll explain more about that when we talk about yoga.
Yeah, so ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਮੈਡੀਟੇਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, you know, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਥੋੜੀ ਠੀਕ ਆ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਚੱਲੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ, 10 minutes is enough for them. So just, you know, ਕਰਕੇ ਲਾਈਫ ਇੰਨੀ ਬਿਜ਼ੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਲਈ ਟਾਈਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੱਢਦੇ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਵੀ ਆਹ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਲਈਏ, ਉਹ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਲਈਏ, ਆਹ TV show ਦੇਖ ਲਈਏ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਫਰੈਂਡਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲ ਲਈਏ. So there's so many things we can do in our society as it is at the moment, and not forgetting mobile phones and things like that, and that's a whole different story. So ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਨਾ meditation ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, if you can manage it, do 10 minutes, but ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ life ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ fast ਆ, then it's more important to do maybe 1 hour. And we've talked about this, where ਇੱਕ ਘੰਟਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ, you can change the whole of your life, because ਉਹ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹਨਾ you just naturally slow down. ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਛੇਤੀ ਆਹ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਾਂ, you realize ਵੀ time, all of a sudden time slows down. You still have the time to do all of those things. ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਮਨ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਦੌੜਨ ਲੱਗ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਆ, but through meditation, regular meditation, which is all about self-love, doing something just for you, you realize that ਉਹੀ ਕੰਮ ਆ, ਉਹਨੇ ਘੰਟੇ ਆ, you can still do it, but you're coming from a place of calmness, inner peace, harmony, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਤੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਅਸਰ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਆ. So just have a think about it in that respect as well.
Yeah, so we're going to continue discuss about prayer, you know, how important prayer is, but more important is how you pray, because it get intention as you pray kada means to see kidda to see part kada. So where you, I suppose you're doing part, you want to connect Rab de naal, and you want that connection, that Rab thodis, you know, wo thodi taklif hoy kuch, you want the Rab to listen and do something for your life to improve your life. But I mean, as coaches, we've come to understand that how the universal laws work, law of assumptions, that if you pray from the place of fear or lack, you know, I'm going to do this, ende part karne up khan part karna, fear, then I find some peace or happiness. But you are praying from the place because I don't have that health, I don't have that relationship, I don't have that job, mere bachyan they don't have that qualification, whatever. So I'm going to pray, so then Rab menu doga. But Rab kehanda jehdi cheez tusi believe karte already what you have now, ohi main cheez thonu deni hai. So how we should really pray, what we're trying to say, you should pray from a place of gratitude. Let's say thodi cheez kami hai, like say thode paisiyan di kami hai. But Rab is saying, pray on things that you really should be grateful. All these cheezaं shukrana kar, okay, maybe I don't have the money now, but I'm so grateful. I've got good health, I've got a good family, mere bacche hai. So utthe tusi dhyan do. You know, I'm so every day thoda part nitnem hona chahiye, bas shukrana karna. Shukrana da part karna, eh to sab to vadi powerful part hai, prayer hai. And then if you dhyan utthe dende, jehdi cheez kami sigi jita pe, oh ape Rab will find, the Rab is you, your high consciousness, or ape resolve ho jayenge, because you're not giving your attention on me paise henige. You are giving that utthe thoda energy utthe tusi dende nahi, tusi energy utthe dende je cheez tusi thodi vadiya chal rahi hai, things you can be grateful for. Tai shukrana da jehda prayer na, it's the most powerful prayer. Rab kar main thonu hor donge cheez, you know jehdi cheez thode bacche ache main hor thode bacche acche karne, thode hor thodi sehat acchi karne, if you're being thankful for you, that paise always up it will happen.
Yeah, and it's all about belief. तुसी believe करना चाहिए है कि हाँ भी ये हो जाना है, जिद्दा भी हैगा हो जाना है, पर करके automatically कई बारी हुंदा सी आ चढ़ा दईए गुरुद्वारे आ सेवा कर ले आ पाठ कर लीए, पर जे असी सोचिए भी जो कुछ भी हैगा हो ही जाना है, जो कुछ थोड़ी किस्मत च हैगा it's gonna happen, but come from a place of शुक्राना करके, no matter how you think about it, there's always something missing in somebody's life, and we have to one day, you know, if it's meant for us it will come, but if we just focus on what we already have, then naturally, and we both definitely 100% believe this, God is saying, well, you're thanking me for so much that I've already given you, I want to give you even more. And that's the bottom line. So just, I mean, I always say there's only two words you ever need to say in terms of prayer, and that's thank you. Thank you for my health, for my family, for my home. You know, you can list endless things. So if that's
even
your
if you
prayer,
don't say thank you for my home, if you just say the word thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, you know,
that's enough.
If you do roti banande, thank you Keja, when you're having a shower, when you're brushing your teeth, when you're driving the car, mucho thank you, thank you. So this is mala honde si, you know, karte apne nitnem, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, and your subconscious mind connects to your superconscious mind. It thinks that if you're saying thank you, that means you already have. Just cheez di mangan di lord vi nahi hai, appe pehla aa jayegi by just saying thank you, thank you, thank you. But this is where meditation can be coming consciously, where you'll be surprised thinking, I was saying thank you 10 minutes. All of a sudden you find yourself thinking about another problem, and then you catch yourself quickly and come back into saying thank you, thank you, thank you. And then honestly, just lord vi nahi hai to, you know, go to Gurdwara das karo, Rab mera har theek kar do. ਉਹ ਕਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਆਪੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਉਹ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਰਿਜ਼ੋਲਵ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ. That's how powerful thank you words are.
And the next topic we're going to cover in spirituality, in terms of making your life more balanced, ਇਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ self-reflection, and we've both discussed this. I mean, self-reflection, I'm a very, very strong advocate of self-reflection. Self-reflection ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸ਼ੀਸ਼ਾ. ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਸ਼ੀਸ਼ੇ ਜਿਹਦਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਲੋਕ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ, there's a Punjabi saying, I don't know whether it fits this actual description, ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਮੰਜੇ ਦੇ ਹੇਠਾਂ ਸੋਟਾ ਫੇਰਦੇ, I don't know if it's the right one, but ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸ਼ੀਸ਼ੇ 'ਚ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ, what do we see? You know, are we kind, caring, loving people to not only just to ourselves, but to the people that we come across? Because ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਇੰਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਝਾੜਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਉਹਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਦਾਂ, ਫਲਾਣੇ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਦਾਂ ਰੁੱਖਾ ਬੋਲਿਆ ਜਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬੁਲਾਇਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਂਦਾ, but we must have given something off for them to maybe have reacted in that way. So self-reflection, ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ self-reflection ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸੋਚਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਡੀਲ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ. How am I dealing with myself? Am I being kind to myself? ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਝਾੜਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ, judgments ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਉਹਨੇ ਕੀ ਪਾਇਆ ਆ, ਉਹ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੀ ਆ, ਉਹ you know, if we're constantly judging, then people are not going to come close to you because you're coming from a place of judgment. So they're not going to feel, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਣਾ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ nice, she's a really kind, caring human being, because people can sense that you're coming from a place of judgment. So what does it mean when you're coming from a place of judgment? That you naturally feel, you think that you're better than other people. So therefore there's already a difference. So automatically ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ judge ਕਰਦੇ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਬਾਕੀਆਂ ਨਾਲੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਵਧੀਆ ਆ, ਫਿਰ ਅਗਲੇ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਆਪੇ ਸੋਚਣਾ ਵੀ you know, ਏਦਾਂ ਸੋਚਦੀ ਹੈ ਵੀ I don't want to go close to that person, and they will distance themselves from you naturally. So we have to change through self-reflection. That, you know, we have to change. The ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ somebody's ਮੈਂ ਬਹੁਤ, you know, we discussed this earlier, ਮੈਂ ਇੰਨੀ nice ਹਾਂ, ਮੈਂ ਇੰਨੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ help ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ, you know, ਪਰ ਉਹ ਮੇਰੇ appreciate ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ. But you can talk a little bit more about that.
Obviously reflection means that the world is a mirror. Everything around is a mirror. So even our health is a mirror to us. Our health is telling that we're not thinking something healthy and good about ourselves, and even the health symptoms. So even people around is a mirror. So they're mirroring back to us what a relationship we have ourselves. So, and then you say, well, I've been so nice to them, I've overgone board, I even left my things and did everything for them, but fairly they didn't respect me, fairly they acknowledged me, they completely ignored me. Why would they do that when I would never ignore them? So, but the thing is, right, they are still mirroring it back, because if people like that tend to be people pleasers, means that they're pleasing everybody so much because they're not in connection with themselves. They are so disconnected from the love and respect for themselves, so desperately wanting for other people. So that's why they go overboard. So they love and accept me, because you have not learned from a childhood that you didn't think it was important to love yourself. So we become people pleasers. But then what they're helping us with through self-reflection, thinking, okay, if I've done so much for them, so what I'm been doing for them, what I'm just teaching me that I should give that energy to myself. I'm overboard pleasing them. I need to learn now to please myself. And to aapne hum tusi please karan lag jange, then that will be reflected back to you. So whatever little you do for them, pehle you did so much, even thoda ji dus karoge na, oh thodi qadar karni.
ਤੇ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਦਤ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਵੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਕਰਦੀ, ਉਹਦੀ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ, but sometimes you have to slow down and think, do I really want to do this, or do I feel like I have to do it? So you have to ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਸੋਚ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਰਨਾ, ਜਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਖੁਸ਼ ਕਰਨਾ ਆ, ਜਾਂ ਮੇਰਾ ਇੰਨਾ ਕੰਮ ਪਿਆ ਹੈ ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਨੱਠੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਨ, but do I need to really look after myself first? So sometimes we just got to slow down and think about what's actually important to you more than somebody else.
And so we're going to go into yoga now. So the yoga the matlab hai union with God. So union, you know, we all do different kriyas and in different positions when we do yoga. It is because when we say Rab sare shareer vich vasta, ek ek cell vich vasta, but when we have a negative thought or belief, or we're born with the, you know, the ancestral pain and trauma, they get stored in our body. So, and that's what actually clogs or blocks us from connecting with God. But when we do yoga, and it's all about breath. Remember earlier on I was saying the power of breath. Breath which is Rab vastaya. So when we breathe into these certain kriyas, then we're allowing to unblock those traumas and release them through the breath, through certain postures and positions, and
with love.
And with love. So the more we unblock and do this yoga, more sare Rab dan union hundi hai. That's why yoga is so important. So we need this spiritual aspect of part of the balance, live a balanced life. So I know we do the other physical exercise, we were saying we go to the gym and everything, that's good, but the yoga has something that connects you more on a spiritual aspect. The physical more connects you to just keeping your temple, the body that holds the spirit in, we work on that and the physical, but this yoga is more connecting with the spiritual side of connecting with God by releasing this blocked energy.
And don't forget, when we're repressing, ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ energy show ਕਰਦੇ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁੱਸਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ, then we're repressing it, so we're not allowing it to flow through yoga, and that's something that can cause all sorts of issues in your life, whether it's, you know, stress or high blood pressure,
unhealthy ways.
Unhealthy ways. ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ. So it's good to release all the things that you are feeling through yoga, and it's a very healthy and slow, calm way of doing all the different positions in order to let go of all that stored you know, negative energy is what I would call it.
So try it, you know, YouTube the both have different ways you can do yoga. So we're going to now connect to I think we've done the spiritual aspect now, so we're going to continue on to the fourth tip, which is being social beings.
We had some fun talking about this because sada
shasha mix up ho janda.
Mix up ho jande hai. So because one of my favorite things that we used to say, we don't say anymore, show shuru karan to pehla.
Show shuru karan to pehla.
So this is about
social being. So just social going on, we're just carrying on laughing. So being social being is so important because we are spiritual beings having this human experience, but because we've got this beautiful body as like a vessel, we'll still need to, through interactions with everyone, we still need to, live this life in harmony with everyone, because we need connection. Because like we said, we're talking about reflection, we need relationships to reflect back to us what is it that we need to grow from and evolve from. We need those part of us that we're in denial, because sometimes, like you said, because something is so deeply embedded in our subconscious mind, we can't see it unless you have that we need changing. So think of every person through our social interconnections we have, that we need that reflection back. So that's so important.
But the thing is, ਹੁਣ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਆ ਵੀ ਜੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ society ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਿਚਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, we don't give ourselves time ਕਰਕੇ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ we're living a life of avoidance ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਨੱਠ ਕੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, but we don't want to sit and think, you know what, we need to slow down, or we need to be more sociable. So ਬਹੁਤ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਐਸਪੈਕਟ ਹੈਗੇ ਵੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਅਸੀਂ opportunity lose ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ because we don't want to be social, ਪਰ ਫਿਰ ਨਾ social ਹੋਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ। ਪਰ ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਫਲਾਣੇ ਥਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣਾ ਕਿ ਮੇਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਉੱਠ ਕੇ ਰੈਡੀ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਕੁਛ ਨਾ ਕੁਛ ਪਾਉਣ ਨੂੰ, so we just think, you know what, I don't want to do that. But the negative effect, if you think about COVID, not being allowed to visit other people or friends or family, it had such a massive negative effect on our mental health. Not being able to see family members, friends, socializing, there was a massive surge of mental health in bimariyan bahut zyadiyan si us vele. So that shows how being social is so important, more especially for elderly generation. Because they need it more than the younger generation, probably.
But even the newborn babies at that time, it's so important. The moment they're born, they need to play, they need to connect with other beings, children of their age, to catch all the viruses and the bugs, because only through the more bugs and viruses that we catch, it strengthens our immune systems. You've got to build up these antibodies. And when we're not being social, we actually don't allow our immune system to strengthen, so it stays weak. So it's so important that this is how we grow, and obviously it affects our mental health, the COVID, but it also affected people on a physiological level. So those babies that were born during the lockdown, they don't have that immunity like somebody who's born in a normal environment.
Continuing on from the baby, I mean, now when a child is born, they, in this country, they ask, for there to be skin-to-skin contact. And why is that? Because there's such trauma when the baby's actually being born, and the baby needs to reconnect with mum, and just to get that skin-to-skin sensation of feeling, loved and safe, and in that environment of not feeling like there's no attachment there. And that is why it's so important, skin to skin. And even with older human beings, just to be able to hug, touch, those things, we should never underestimate the power of just holding somebody's hand. And this is part of being social. But sometimes इदा हुंदा भी जिदा असी सियाने हुंदे हैं कि असी अपने आप च रहन लग पैंदे हैं, असी सोचते हैं we don't need other people, and we become more separate. But like I said, that does have a devastating effect. So जिस तुसी सोचते हैं भी मेरे कोल कोई मैंने पता नहीं मैं की कर सकते हैं, what can I do to become more social? So one aspect is भी तुसी try कर सकते हैं to do some volunteering. ਇਹਦਾ मतलब भी तुसी गुरुद्वारे जा सकते हैं, मंदिर, whatever your place is that you in your community, कि तुसी volunteer कर सकते, थोड़ा जिहा अपना time तुसी किसी होर नूं दे सकते, and this is seva as well. पर जदों असी volunteer करते हैं, we can volunteer at home, we can help our own family, because just by spending time nurturing, caring for our own family, our extended family, that can make such a difference to your own health. And we don't actually realize how important it is to continue to connect with people, because I mean, I can mention, you know, some people just don't want to travel, they don't want to interact, but at the same time फिर कल्ले रहने दे नाल नुकसान होना सामने जे तुसी एफर्ट पा के तुसी किसी ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਆ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਬੰਦੇ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਆ and you realize that दुनिया परे तो परे कोई औखी है तो कोई सौखी है and it's only by being social that you see these things.
Yeah, so I was going to discuss a bit more about the being social beings and the biggest growth we get is through relationships.
Yeah,
you know, so
definitely.
relationships is so necessary. I know that we think, okay, if you're just working on the spiritual, you know, tip we was talking about, so staying in bhakti kari jao, right, you probably think you're enlightened, right, but you really know how enlightened you are when you come back from your bhakti and then, you know, interact with your family, because that's where you get your triggers. You can't get triggered when you're in the, you know, in your bhakti state. You're isolated. You can feel like you're really enlightened. You're getting all this wonderful experience and feeling blissful. And you think, yeah, you can have that, but really we hear about growth, how we're evolving, soul evolution, because we're like, we are this universal energy. It's a beginning, end, it's always expanding, and how we expand through human interaction, through our challenges, through our triggers, because every time we learn new lessons that we've had we have ascended, we've had an upgrade, and that can only happen mainly through relationships. So that's why social interaction is so important. So we can't just do spiritual, emotional, physical. We need all these 4 tips. And then quickly going back to, you know, just bacha janam le raha, it's come from a very pure place. So before it comes and gives birth, it's come from a pure place where it's all knows about we are one consciousness, and then it comes into it, because if you think Sada skin is the biggest organ in our body, and it's a sensory organ, so it's all about sense. So bacha can't speak, so it needs touch, it needs that interaction to feel safe, because it's a scary world to come into, because coming from a place of purity, and it's coming to a place of where there's so going to be lessons, where there's fear of being abandoned, rejected, you know. So it only can survive through the skin and touch. If they didn't have the skin and touch, that bacha won't even survive a few weeks. So it needs the skin. And if you think about it, bacha jo janam hunda is quite plump, the skin, because the organs are very healthy now. But if you think about jad siane ho jande, have you noticed why the skin starts thinning? But the patli ho lag jande, because already the mindset thinking, I got no one to touch anymore. I got mere jade nazdeek family, but they all moved on. So the sensory organs, well, if you're not going to touch anymore, time patale hone like, because our body is so clever, so intelligent. It thinks, well, I don't need to be plump anymore, because if there's no sensory organ, then I feel less of the separation. Because the biggest fear is feeling the separation loss. But if your sensory organ patali hone jaan, then you don't feel the separation as much. So it's really incredible how that in the body is so clever.
I know. And I just think, for me, myself, I'm somebody that loves hugging people, you know, friends and family, you know, not random people on the street. I just feel like that's such a beautiful thing to do. And jadoo koi siana hunda thodi family de vich jaan jehde tusi jaande ho, even if you just put your arm around them, that can just make them feel like they're really, really being cared about. And I think that's part of being social. We feel like, you know, we shouldn't get close to people, but we need it probably more. We definitely need it when we're older, to be able to just hold someone's hand, and that's where you feel, you know, that connection. Like Dav's just said, you know, our skin is the most important, well, not the most important, but it's our biggest organ. Jada aap Punjabi je hum Punjabi ch samjhawa ke ek duje nu hath launa, just to hold each other's hand, ja nyane da ja siane da, ਉੱਥੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਇਹ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਆ, you know, just to be able to love and care for somebody within your own family or extended family, just to show them. You don't have to say anything, and that appeal of an older person especially, and even young children, anybody, there's just so much to be said, and you don't, just by touching somebody in an appropriate way.
You don't need words, just put your hand on somebody's shoulder.
People feel cared about, you know, naturally, you know, when ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਿਆਰ ਨਾਲ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਬੁਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਚਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਹੱਥ ਫੜਦੇ ਆ, you know, you instantly, it's an instant shift from just feeling disconnected to feeling close and cared about and loved. It's mad, isn't it? But yeah, so ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੋਚੋ ਵੀ, you know, if you're not doing that, then give it a go. ਸੋਚੋ ਵੀ ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਰੂੰ ਵੀ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੋਊਗਾ, how will I feel? And 100% I will tell you, it will definitely make you feel better within yourself. So कदे-कदे जदों असी सियाणे हुंदे आ जाने असी सोचते हैं भी असी घरे रहना आ किते जाना नहीं हैगा but we have to force ourselves especially when the weather's bad we meet each other regardless of the weather throughout the year to do this work which we want to share with everybody and because it's important for us and no, come rain or shine today it's supposed to snow and we're like oh we need to rush back but we still want to do this because we feel like it's so important but before we get here and get together we are feeling the same as what most people feel oh what are we doing the weather's so bad and things like that but once we're here and we feel so so connected and through the social side and it's all worth it and that's the most thing so the comfort zone is just so important to just do it whatever it is tusi kisi nu has ke bulavo you will feel so much better in terms of social beings
we just had a heavy session or conversation or something sometimes we say I just need a hug and instantly you feel better hai na hun kam shuru karte hain we say
and sometimes jida assi nyane nu fikr karde hain sade nyane aa काम नहीं करते वो नहीं करते sometimes all they want is a hug and कई बार उन्हें तो अपने बोल तो कह नहीं सकते what they're thinking or they're feeling but to see being a parent or a grandparent you can say उरिया मैंने जप्पी पा दे and sometimes that can fix so many things that we don't even realize and that can just unload a child will unload and say this is how I'm feeling and this is why I'm feeling this कदे-कदे सानू नहीं पता भी जप्पी पाउण दे नाल या किसी दा हाथ फाड़ दे नाल किन्नी तुसी किसी होर नु शक्ति दिंदे आ for them to be able to speak to you because underneath everything in terms of social प्यार ही चाहिदा आ हर एक नू प्यार चाहिदा आ ਤਾਂ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਬਾਰੇ ਨੈਗੇਟਿਵ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ that's only showing that's how we feel about ourselves so community ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖੋ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਕੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੀ ਆਪਣੀ community ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ help ਕਰਨਾ I mean one of my friends I mean you're not going to believe this she goes around picking up litter in her area and I'm so proud of her but it's not something I would naturally do but she says oh ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਵੀ I want to make my area where I live into a clean and safe environment not just for myself but for other people but ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਪਏ ਆ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਆਲੇ ਦੁਆਲੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਫਾਈ ਰੱਖੀਏ ਸੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ on a social perspective ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਅਸਰ ਹੋਰਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ
and like I said ਅਸੀਂ in our primal state we are like we have the animal instincts so it's all about being part of a group being part of a tribe so we need that interconnection and there is that form of okay we're born with attachment we need that attachment only comes unhealthy when it can come unhealthy but we need the attachment because we learn from each other but once we've done the learning then we realize that we are interconnected so it's also teaching us back to reattach back to our true essence that's why there is that attachment there but like I said the animal instinct will play in us and once the moment we start to feel like there's a threat of being rejected or abandoned that's our animal instinct playing out because if you think of the tribe animals on a horde or anything if one of them's alone and abandoned or rejected somewhere it's the threat of the fear of death being attacked so that's why it's so important we like to stay in that tribe in that community because it's just a place we feel safe but just be careful that attachment doesn't become toxic that's what we're trying to say use the attachment to learn from it and obviously a child is born already is attached to his mother to feel safe but then eventually that child will grow and evolve when it realizes that not to be toxic in that attachment state but actually use that attachment to learn how can I be self-reliant and learn to be safe in my own place in my own environment where I can still feel interconnected
and don't forget ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ lonely ਬਣਦੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਵੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਈ ਕੇਅਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੀ ਜਾਂ ਮੇਰਾ ਜੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਜਾਣ it is a very slippery slope ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਸਾਡੀ ਸੋਚਣੀ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਨੈਗੇਟਿਵ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ and that's where more mental health issues can arise ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਅਸਰ ਪੈ ਸਕਦਾ ਆ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਲੇ ਦੁਆਲੇ ਜੇ ਕੋਈ somebody is flourishing ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਵੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਕੋਈ ਕੇਅਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦਾ So this is why it's important थोड़ी कोई भी उम्र होवे, you know, make your own life, do what makes you happy. आले दुआले थोड़े वो भी जितना मर्जी करन उन्हों ले भी सानू साडा फर्ज बनदा उन्हों ले खुश होण नू. And sometimes it's hard to be happy for other people when you don't feel good about yourself, but it is important that you can create your own life where you feel connected to other people. And sometimes it could be that your partner's passed away or something's happened, but you can still live a very connected life, but maybe not in the way in terms of your own partner, but in terms of ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ gym join ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, you know, ਕੁਛ ਕਰਦੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਨਾਲ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਆਪਣਾ ਮਨ ਹਲਕਾ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ through social connection. So don't forget the importance of not isolating yourself and going into a place where it's very difficult sometimes to come out of. And before we finish, we've only got another 10 minutes left of the show. We're going to continue with emotional because that was something that we did last week, but we didn't manage to finish. So we were going to talk about crying. And ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਛੋਟੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਰੋਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ. You know, don't cry. You're not allowed to cry. You're not allowed to express, you know, your tears or anything like that. We, you know, like ਸਿਆਣਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਕੱਢਣੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਰੋਂਦੇ ਕਾਤੇ ਆ. Be quiet. Don't. So that part of us from a young age is sometimes repressed, and we're not allowed to cry, especially men or boys. So it's bad enough for girls, but it's actually worse for men. And this is where so many problems, bimariyan itthon shuru hundiyan. Crying is so important because we need to release that energy that we're holding on to, because ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੋਂਦੇ ਫਿਰ ਉਹੀ ਗੁੱਸਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਆ ਜਾਂ you know, we might be violent or abusive. ਕਿਤੇ ਨਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ negative energy ਉਹ ਨਿਕਲਣੀ ਆ. So it's okay to cry. Don't feel that you can't cry, and being vulnerable is very important. You know, ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਵੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਮਨ ਬਹੁਤ ਭਾਰਾ ਅੱਜ, you know, we talk to each other about things like that. And if you've got a really good friend who cares about you, he or she will be fine with it. They will support you through it.
So that crying is just it's energy being released. It's some trauma. And somebody might trigger us. We think, "Ede karke I'm feeling sad," or "Ede circumstance I'm feeling sad." But that's just a trigger. It's already sadness, already stored, and it needs to come out through tears. But just when we repress it, then you know, eventually it turns into some sort of physical, you know, symptom, and we don't want to go down that road. But crying is a form of release. It's letting go of this pressure that's building up. So it's very healthy for you. So acknowledging your emotions is the greatest gift you can give yourself. And like I said, like most men tend to not cry as much. Women are very good at expressing their emotions, I think.
Most of the time.
But if you notice, emotions, sadness, it's about love anyway. You're not loving yourself. Men tend to find themselves a lot more heart conditions, you know, high blood pressure. They tend to have more cardiac issues. So, but women tend to have, like, they don't like to, you know, express their anger, because we've been programmed, conditioned that it's not very feminine to, you know, express your anger. It's only a manly thing, you know. Man can express their anger but not show tears, but women can show tears but not express their anger. So when women hold anger, it's just energy that needs to be released with honor and respect. But when we hold anger, women tend to have symptoms like fibromyalgia or any autoimmune diseases like lupus. So, you know, these are the things that telling us that we women are holding on to anger. And being authentic is all about, that's what we're here to do, being authentic. I'm actually feeling angry, I need to let it out. I'm feeling angry about this. And really it's coming up, and you acknowledge. You don't have to react from it, just process it. And men also need to process tears.
And I think going on from what Davis just said, कदी कदी है ना जो कोई emotion आंदा है, गुस्सा आंदा है, रोज आंदा है, कोई भी चीज़ है, you know, we don't want to acknowledge it. सानू हुंदा भी ऐसी है ना, ऐसी face नहीं करना हैगा. वो काम कर ले, वो काम कर ले, पर गुस्से च करना जहाँ मन भारा है, or you're depressed or you're feeling low. But if you sit with it and work through the emotion, कहना भी आ मेरा काते होया या, भी आ गल कित्थों आई या, कि मैं आ जिहड़ी गल है किसी ने मैनू मेरा दिल दिखाया, काते दिखाया, you know, how can I work through it through self love, कि alright ठीक है, शायद मैं भी उन्होंने गलत बोली सीगी तां उन्होंने मैनू गलत बोलिया, शायद I need to change something about myself, कि मैं भी गलत हो सकदी हां. So it's about working through that emotion rather than just leaving it. कहना भी चलो मैं कल इहदे बारे सोचूंगी, परसों सोचूं, जां मैं कदे भी नहीं सोचना इहदे बारे. So that will keep coming up. and it will never go away, and it just gets worse and worse. So this is where sariyan bimariyan itho shuru hundiyan jithe we don't allow ourselves to feel that emotion, and it's really important that we do.
I remember we said last week emotion means motion, that means movement.
Yeah.
Movement honi chahiye, but ਅਸੀਂ ਦਬਾ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ ਫਸ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਫਸ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ, and then obviously it will turn into some sort of, like you said, disease.
No, and you know, if you I'm sure we're both aware of this, ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਗਾਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਗਾਲ ਫਸ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਰੋਣ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਨਾ ਦਿਲ ਕਰਦਾ, but you can't. You have to hold it, you know what I mean? And it's a horrible feeling, and then eventually, you know, you do have to let that go.
But you feel light.
And you feel lighter for that. So just remember, you know, whatever you're feeling, sit with it and allow it to flow through you, and acknowledge it and think, well, where is it coming from, rather than, you know, getting on to the next thing. It's really, really important. But the next thing is laughter. Laughter is so important in terms of who we are, how we function with other people. Because कई बारी सानू चेता भुल जांदा किदां असीं हसना आ, कि कई बारी you know, older people say pagal ya हसदी रहिंदी आ बगैर मतलब तो दंदियां करदी रहिंदी आ, इहनू तां हासा आउंदा आ. But hasa is so important. I love anything that makes me laugh, and I consciously, I mean, Dav knows me, I will constantly take the mic or say something that will bring a smile to anybody's faces, but with Dav it's really, really easy.
So
yeah. She will just giggle, and you know what, that's a great reflection, because it just makes you happy. And I've got other friends who are like that, and that's the people, that's the kind of energy I want to be around. But you know, you have to consciously do it. You have to consciously try to sochna pena be, how can I make myself laugh? I mean, I will just have funny stories, and I've told Dav this, and I don't remember anything else, but I definitely remember funny stories. So
no, like I said, laughter is the best medicine. It's sabse badi sari important dwai hagi.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's natural, it's in us. Rab ne, like I said, nature is sab kuch sanu ilaj ditta hoya, sare hase da hai sab kuch ilaj. We've got all the best medicine and no side effects. So in a hase de naal, moment you start laughing, so the immune system strong ho janda, and it switches off our flight or flight freeze mode jithe we think we're under attack. So if you think about it, our body thinks jinna tusi hasunge, the more I'm going to koi bimari andar vi hoye, we don't even know koi bimari already starting, or pehla hi theek hon lag jande just by laughing. So laughing has everything, you know, and then we did a show once, we talked about these laughing monks. To say kisi nu hasana vi oh vi bahut vadi seva hai. So these monks used to go around all these villages in China, sare nu hasana, and bande jehde stress out sige, they help them to switch off their stress, bring their stress chemicals down, and release the serotonin and, you know, endorphins, all jehde healthy hormones jehde bande koi shareer ch koi problem hoye, anxiety hoye, आपे ठीक हो गया.
And ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੋਚੋ, ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰੂਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਜਾਣਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਜਾਣਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹਸਾਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਜਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਜਾਣਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਰਵਾਉਂਦਾ ਆ. ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਲਾਈਫ ਤਾਂ ਉੱਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਔਖੀ ਆ, ਤਾਂ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਚਲੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਹਸਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਯੂ ਨੋ ਇਟਸ ਅ ਕਾਮੇਡੀ ਜਾਂ ਫਨੀ ਥਿੰਗਸ, ਐਨੀਥਿੰਗ that will uplift you. That's got to be the best thing now. I do this all the time, and I'm not ashamed to say that, because I just think, you know, life is tough, and ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਹਸਾ ਕੇ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਦੇ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਇਹ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਕੋਈ ਸੇਵਾ ਹੋ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੀ. That's what I personally feel. No matter what your situation, if you can do that, then you know what, that's got to be the best gift in the world, to be able to make other people smile. So we're just going to be finishing off in a little while. So ਹੋਰ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ ਵੀ ਜੇ if you've got a ਕੁੱਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ, ਕੋਈ ਬਿੱਲੀ ਹੈਗੀ,
they're very good.
They're very good for your emotions, because they bring your blood pressure down. If you stroke them, sada kutta ta sade lage nahi hota. He's not a very social animal. He likes to be stroked.
Him.
I know,
it's
but
lovely.
he doesn't like being stroked very much.
No, every time I've come, he comes
yeah,
next
there's something
to me.
about you.
Mere kol ta aa janda.
But he'll only be stroked for a little while, and then he'll go off. But you know, if you've got an animal, a pet that you can stroke, I mean, you might just have a child that who's, you know, kade sair de vich kehna si tel chassana, that's a good thing. You can stroke it, you know, it's a good thing. Lastly, there's journaling. You know, tusi lekh sakde, if you're feeling down, you can write about you're feeling good, you can write about that. It's a good way of just getting all
the
of
energy
your
out,
different emotions out.
Yeah. Let's say somebody you've got a problem with and they live in another part of the world. You don't have to see them physically. You can still write whatever's coming up for you because the energy comes out through your hand and on the paper, it's out. You just got to get the energy out. So or you can do it through meditation. You just call this, I'm calling this person in imagination, have that conversation with them. Tell them, I don't know what happened there, but something that the way you spoke, it brought up this sadness in me, it brought up this hurt in me. I just want to acknowledge this is what I'm feeling. So you're just taking it out. So
so the self-care wheel, conclusion, 4 principles. You've got the physical, the emotional, the spiritual and the social. So ये चीज़ां सारियां करनियां ज़रूरी है. Physical exercise, anything that gets you moving. Emotional, जिथे तुसी कोई भी emotion है, you honor it, whether it's a sad emotion or a happy emotion. Spiritual, जिथे तुसी meditation करते हैं, you do some praying. And social,
it's just important to just stay interactive with people and enjoy every moment with them.
So तुसी जरूर try करियो करके आ साडी सेवा हैगी ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ and for ourselves करके साडी भी बहुत ਅਸੀਂ भी बहुत कुछ सिखते हैं ਜਦੋਂ we share all these nuggets of information with you. So we really hope you enjoyed our show on the 4 tips to live a more balanced life.
Thank you.
Sat Sri Akal.